Hello again. I hope you had a great weekend. I hope that you got to maybe see some friends and family since we could be in a little bit larger groups for the first time in a while, and that you got to enjoy this nice sunshiny weather. I look forward to hearing all about it. Let's take a few seconds and look through your jobs for today. Technically, we gave you yesterday off because we shouldn't have had school anyway, but if you did the work, I will show you really quickly how to get the answer for this problem. And there's already a video up that goes over your number sense if you want to go back and check your work from yesterday if you did it. Those of you that didn't do it, you might still want to watch it just because it kind of sets us up for this week. Make sure that you've practiced your 8s from last week and that today you're getting ready to start your 3s. If you learn your 3s, then your 6s and your 9s aren't so bad. So make sure you get a really good handle on your 3s. And there's already directions up for how to play that decimal spin game. Make sure you get a round or two of that in for the week so that you're all set for Friday's job. All right, let's take a second and look at your 2 story problems. I pulled them both out. The one from yesterday is pretty fast. It says, Rocco's Rock Shop has 725 igneous rocks on display. Rocco has divided the rocks evenly among 5 shelves. So how many rocks are there on each shelf? That's a lot like the problems we were doing last week, where I already have my total. And it's 725 rocks. And we're doing with rocks on a shelf. That's what we're talking about here. I know that he put it up into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 shelves. The question is, what's on one shelf? So if you did that problem and that is what you got for a picture, good for you. I can't use a calculator really fast. I guess I'll just do the math so that you know if you got it right or not. My phone is my calculator and it's in good use right now. Give me just a second and I'll work this out for you so you know if you got it right. So you should have 145 rocks on each shelf. If that's what your sentence says, good for you. If I was doing an explanation, I would have to say that I drew a model drawing where I split the things evenly into 5 groups. I decided it had to be a division problem. So I solved it using the traditional method and I figured out that he had 145 rocks on each shelf. So if you did all that, good for you, but you don't have to send that to your teacher because that was your day off work. This, however, is not your day off work. This is what you need to be thinking about today. So let me zoom in on this one. I'll go a little bit slower for this one. It says, Macy has 224 pieces of candy. She will share them equally among 12 friends and herself. How many pieces of candy will each friend receive? How many pieces will be left over? All right, let's go back and chunk that out. There's some tricky things in this problem. If you didn't catch them, we'll get them now. Macy has 224 pieces of candy. That's pretty simple. She will share them equally among 12 friends and herself. I'm actually going to chunk that off right there, and I'll tell you why in a second. Now I have a double question. How many pieces of candy will each friend receive, and how many pieces are left over? So make sure I have 2 questions, so I better have 2 answers. Make sure you get me a double sentence. One of them is going to be talking about the pieces of candy each friend gets, and one sentence about the leftovers. Now, I split this off because this is a worded funny thing that some people miss in story problems because they don't read carefully. It says she shares them equally among 12 friends and herself. So make sure when we do that picture that we keep that piece together. Get your sentences in. We'll start our drawing. So we're dealing with Macy's candy. All right. Draw my bar. Always start with a bar. Now the question is, do I know how much candy she has? I do, because I see right here she has 224 pieces. So there's that chunk used up. She'll share them equally among 12 friends. Here's where that other piece comes in. And herself. So I need a spot for Macy. And then I need a spot for friend 1, friend 2, friend 3, all the way up until friend 12. Okay? So then it says the first question is, how many pieces will each friend receive? That's this. And then the last one says, how many pieces will be left over? Now, if that question wasn't on there, I wouldn't necessarily know that there were leftovers. So if I was just doing this problem with a model drawing, I may not leave that space. But since it specifically says there will be pieces left over, you could technically draw on an extra little box at the end. You wouldn't want it to be very big because it's not going to be the same size as what they got equally. But I also need to know what that little tiny extra box is on the end. So you're going to need 2 spots for math, or maybe 1 depending on how you do it. But make sure that you go through and first make sure that you're dividing by the right number, because I don't just have 12 friends, I have 12 friends and Macy, which means whatever I'm doing needs to be divided by 13 people, and you're welcome for telling you it was a division problem. I'm guessing most of you had that figured out already. So you need to go through and solve this. Tell me how many pieces each friend would actually get, and then what's left over. Okay? Have a great day.